All right. Good evening, everyone.
Okay.
We will call tonight's February 24th meeting to order at 6:01. First up, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone, please stand. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next up, item 3, roll call.
Mayor Hudson,
Present.
Vice Mayor Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Pride,
Here.
Councilmember Busby,
Here.
okay, and Councilmember Hanson will be participating remotely for Just Cause pursuant to Government Code 54953.8.3. Councilmember Hanson,
I am here. Thank you.
awesome. Is there anyone in the room over 18 with you?
There is not. I am in my office alone.
All right. And can you give just a brief description of your Just Cause?
Yeah, per doctor's orders, I am to quote unquote take it easy for a few days and get some rest, whatever that means.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just for clarification, all votes need to be by roll call tonight.
Okay, with that,
Thank
are there any item 4, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes.
Okay. With that, we will move on to item 5, public comment and consent calendar forum. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and may be approved by a single vote unless removed for separate discussion by the council or city manager. Individuals wishing to speak on consent items or matters not on the agenda are asked to complete a speaker card and submit it to the city clerk. All remarks shall be directed to the mayor and council members and are limited to 3 minutes. By law, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. Item 5A, register approval. Item 5B, minutes approval. Excuse me. Item 5C, policy update and library rules of conduct. Item 5D, fiscal year 2026-27 landscaping and lighting special assessment district. And item 5E, proposition 218 sewer rate study. With that, I will ask if there is any public comment either on one of those 5 items or anything not on the agenda for this evening. Go ahead, come on up to the microphone and please state your name for the record.
Good evening, Kevin Triance. I live at 314 South Marshall Avenue, Willows, California. I'm representing a VFW Post 1770 this evening, and we would like to start possible or open dialogue with the city regarding the Vietnam Memorial clock that is currently in the location over by the banks in that little plaza area, and have it moved to Memorial Hall grounds. And so we would like to do that. The reason for this dialogue that we would like to have is it's been on the minds of the VFW Post for quite a while, a few years apparently. I've been in contact with a couple of family members. I can get letters of support for the move of the clock in the memorial if that is required. The clock itself, when I was talking to one of the family members whose fathers was killed in Vietnam, regarded and talked about the clock being vandalized at one time. I guess somebody had thrown a rock through it, and he has been upkeeping it and getting it done. We believe that the clock should be in a more public area, the bigger area that's been seen, that people can appreciate it, and we can remember the 5 people and soldiers that were mounted on it. So we would like to have this openness dialogue to possible for future action from you. We have been in contact with the county. In fact, we approached the county about putting it into or onto Memorial Hall grounds at the last meeting. So I don't know when that can become an agenda item or approval. I don't know what the costs would be. I don't know what's involved. We have no problem fundraising for the challenge or the move. We would just like to get permission eventually from you guys if you see fit to move it and go from there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion or comments on anything not on the agenda? Okay. With that, I will move to the pleasure of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple questions or comments with regard to item 5A. I see in the check register that we made 4 payments to the Clinton County Sheriff's Office for November, December, January, and February. I know in the past I've heard that there's some rumor out there that the city is not paying its fair share to the city or to the sheriff's office. And I have confirmed that once, the contract calls for a 30-day invoice from the county, and we pay within 30 days, and we are in compliance with that. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that.
Thank you.
I have one other item. Well, on the sewer rate study, I can wait till somebody else. We can have that conversation now.
Would you like to pull it and,
No, I just have a comment.
okay,
And I don't know if it's even appropriate for this action, which is to work on towards a new sewer rate study 218. But we've had issues with billing commercial and apartment complexes. And I was hoping that maybe this LTMC could give us some direction towards how other cities deal with a better billing practice for our commercial and residential apartment complexes, because what we have right now is residential homes are billed on the tax bill, and commercial and apartments are billed by Cal Water. And it seems to be a difficult process to make sure we have all of them. So in this process of looking at sewer rate studies, there's some way we can learn a little bit more about how we might find a better billing practice. That would be very positive for the city.
Once
That's it,
the,
Mayor.
assuming that the council approves this tonight, and the contract is executed, they will return to the council for like more specific feedback on what the concerns are in order to craft the way that they're going to go about the methodology for the rate study. So there will be another opportunity for that.
I'm not sure if the building cycle and the rate study have anything to do with one another, but it just seems like a good time for us to, as a city, to look at. Fix this.
And the only question I had on the rate study was, did the company who did the one for us prior put in any proposal this year at all? I don't remember who did the last one.
They did not. They were also not invited.
Perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Busby, anything to add?
Negative.
Okay.
With that, I would move to approve items 5A, 5B, 5C, 5E, and 5E as presented.
I have a first. Is there a second?
Seconded.
A first and a second. Any further discussion? With that, this will be a roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Busby,
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pride,
Yes.
Mayor Hudson.
Yes, motion passed 5-0. Next item on the agenda, item 6, discussion and action calendar. All matters on the discussion and action calendar will be discussed and acted on individually. Individuals wishing to speak on these items are asked to complete a speaker's card and submit it to the city clerk. Comments should be directed to the mayor and council members and are limited to 3 minutes. By law, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. Item 6A, Willows Little League Association field use fees or practice. Recommended action, direct staff to review the financial and precedent-setting implications of the Willows Little League Association request to waive or reduce its fees for baseball field use during practice and return to council with a recommendation at the March 10th, 2026 city council meeting. With that, I believe we have members from the board for the Willows Little League. Would you guys like to come up and express what your request is?
Evening, everybody. My name's Jeff Fleck. Live here in Willows. This is my 8th year coaching for Willows Little League. 4 or 5 years on the board. 3.5 years as president, co-president. I'm here to present costs for the last 3 years on what Willows Little League has done to upgrade the fields. What the city has charged us and the expenses of how it's affecting us. So with that said, last year we had city rental fees. We only had 2 teams for the use of Stiegel Fields. It was $459 for 2 teams. That's 12 games plus lights. Last year, we didn't do too much of the field upgrades, but we still spent $1,478. Let's just round it. And I do have receipts for that if you'd like it, or if you want me to hand it to someone, Mr. Mayor.
If, is it just one copy? You can give them to the city clerk and then she'll disperse them.
Season of 2024, the city rental fee, because the city was going through some transactions and so forth, they only charged us $190. So we went ahead and talked to the city, and we spent up to $1,200 on the softball fields alone for new backstop boards and bleachers. And that was even on a field that we're told by the city we're not allowed to touch or use. This was a big year for us. We had $21,800 in field expenses. We hired Songbird, and we worked with Songbird to redo our fields, regrade it, cinder it per the city's expectations, per our contracts. And we also put in some dugout roofs, new roofs on our own dugouts, and new backstops on the east field, or what they call the miners field in our contract. The year of, that was 24, the year of 23. City rental fees for the use of Stiegel Field. I think we had more teams that year, $324 just in games to use those fields and lights. This year we did the roofs on the west field. We put in a new Connex box so that way our stuff wouldn't get broken into, ripped off. And we even repaired our own scoreboard that the wires got damaged by somebody. And that was $9,333. And I have receipts for that as well. And just for example, I found an old profit expense report in 1994. The league back then, they repaired the dugouts for $5,500 and field maintenance repairs for $4,500. So we go way back into putting money back into our own fields. Okay. Yes, it's in our contract. I have contracts from 1986, and it is per our contract, but we also, I've heard word of we have to be in the same category as everyone else, where the general public just comes in and uses the parks, and depending on the group, Public Works has to come in and clean up after themselves. I don't think we're in that category. I don't know if we're in the category of the high school softball that develops youth sports, or are we in our own category where volunteers that use the park facilities 5 months out of the year, who puts thousands of dollars back into the fields, hundreds of hours in not only maintaining the fields, but working with the youth to make them better people. And we bring in coaches, parents, and players every year before our season starts and clean up all of the fields at Jensen, what we call the Jensen Park. That's the east field through the batting cage, through the snack shack, the parking lot, back to the Westfield home run area. And we take all the leaves ourselves. We bring in dump trailers, we bring in tractors, lawnmowers, rakes, leaf blowers, and we take care of all those cleanup that city public works may not have time for. So with that being said, I know we're not asking for a gift of any sort, but we are asking for reduced fees because just alone for this year, just 4 games, it's going to cost Willows Little League for 2 major softball games, 1 junior softball game, $810 just in games. That's not including practices on the fields that they're going to play on. And again, we were told that we're not even supposed to use all the fields of softball fields, including the far west field. So we're only supposed to use Stiegel Field. So I don't know if we can get that changed as well.
A lot of information.
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry. Just.
Yeah, and I still have to write it so I can read it.
So my understanding, the way it's agendized tonight, is that we're looking to just give staff direction to review the financial and precedent setting implications of Willows Little League request to waive and or reduce fees, and then come back to us with an actual recommendation. So is the information, Jeff, that you just presented to us tonight, has that already been given to staff, or is this our first time?
This is probably your first time hearing it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
Certainly, it seems like the efforts for maintenance and things like that would be reasonable for some sort of offset. I would support the agenda. So let's take a look at how we might be able to address these issues.
And I think part of it for me is looking at, you guys are putting a lot of money into that. So how much of that is specifically for the infrastructure, right? The buildings and whatnot, as opposed to just grounds maintenance. So, I mean, you're doing it so you can have Little League baseball games there. And to me, there's a balance of what's only done to support your activity as opposed to those other 7 months of the year when other people are potentially using it, and kind of looking for that nexus between, your use specific to your needs and then what's an underlying city
Well,
possibly going.
just in general, let's take one example. Dugouts. Someone, probably kids, got up there, got up on the roof, pounded holes into our dugout. We had to fix them. That's what started it. Okay. So that was a safety concern. 2, Songbird redoing our fields. They were so at disarray that anyone that used them could have broken an ankle. We ended up taking out the outer lip because it was such a safety hazard. If you get a fast ground ball and you're playing a short outfield, you get it up into your nose, basically. So we fixed that. I wish we could lock up our fields, but I know it's public and people use it as a dog park, which is fun for our kids when we go out there to practice and we have to do a search for landmines before our kids even get out there. But no, we take a lot of pride into the fields that anyone can use them, and we'd love for people to use them, and we have future plans to make a difference in maybe the batting cages or even a smaller T-ball farm field that kids could go out and play wiffle ball on at any point in time. And I know there's ebbs and flows, right? Right now we have a really great board, really good parents. And so we're at our high right now. We're fundraising, we're doing a lot of stuff with the youth. But I get it. The city, I'm sure people have been around long enough. They see where, they barely had the board to keep the league running.
Yeah.
So.
I'm totally supporting of staff direction to, sit at the table and see if we can come up with a workable solution. I mean, we always have to be mindful, in my opinion, that, we can't do everything for the benefit of just a group of people, right?
Understood.
So that's the balancing act. But I think with the information you provided, the improvements that you're making, and we can look at that as in relationship to the costs being charged and have a conversation and see where that,
Mhm.
where that
And
comes.
like I said, the word category, we have to be in the same category thrown around. But just reaching out to some of my other districts, Orland, they don't pay for any of their fields, and the city puts money into their fields with lights. Durham, they're about the same, uh, maybe a little bit smaller than us, and they don't have any fees. I won't even go to Chico because they're too big. They're out of our league, but but still, I mean, anything we could do to help would be much appreciative.
So I was looking back through some of my paperwork and I have a copy of the agreement between the City of Willows and Little League Association for 2022.
Yes.
I don't even know was there one done, does a new contract get done every year?
Supposed to,
Okay. So that could be talked about
and I've
also
been waiting
probably.
for it for the last 2 years.
And Joe, I know you were working on one. How's that coming? Or Marty, one of you guys want to?
Yeah, so we've got a new contract red line that we'll be meeting with Willows Little League about to go over some modifications for it. None of it had to do with the fee schedule and what was charged. That's just based on what's been done in the past at the Little League field. The softball fields, when they approached us for practice, we went off the base rate that we would charge anybody to reserve those softball fields. So that's where that consideration came in. I don't think you guys had used those in the past. Maybe you have. But the new contract, I think some of the changes that'll be dealt with is responsibility of ownership for certain areas of the field, starting infield being Willows Little League and our staff being responsible for some more of the actual structure of the fields, the bleachers, those things. And like Jeff had mentioned, they donated the money to buy the paint and supplies to redo some of the softball bleachers and the Little League bleachers. And what this contract does is allows that. We've now got our volunteer use form, but just kind of gets those things to where we're in the know of what they're doing, or they're providing materials for us, for our staff to do it, which was the case with the painting of the bleachers and replacing some backstops at the softball.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that we maintain a partnership that's, equitable and works. We talk a lot about how we don't have a lot of recreation opportunities for our youth. And this certainly fits the bill for a big chunk.
Well,
of them.
right now, just to let you know the scope, we have just under 300 kids enrolled in Little League this year. Last year, I think we're at 315, 316.
Does it stay pretty consistent or does it just depend on how many volunteer coaches you get and
I mean, just in perspective, when I first started as president, I think we're at 256, and we've slowly been growing our league thanks to our coaches and our volunteers. But please,
Hi, my name is Lance Chapman. I'm here in Willows. I'm the current president of the Little League this year. And kind of touch on what Jeff was saying, what we're actually trying to look for was we've had contracts in the past that pertain to the Little League facility itself, which is owned by the city, which would be considered the Little League East Field and West Field. And we do the contract every year in that, and we take ownership and pride in upgrading it and all that stuff. We do. What we're trying to further ask for is we're in the process of trying to build the league, build the numbers like Jeff is talking about. When he started, it was at 250. We're up plus 300 now. And what we're trying to do is build an organization for kids to have play baseball, to have activities to do. The problem is we're running out of room for fields, for practices, for appropriate practices, and games. And so along with the baseball fields that we've turned into baseball and softball fields, the Little League Park itself, we're asking to see if we can get an additional contract with it that would add in the softball East Field, which I believe is commonly known as Stiegel Field. So we could add games and practices there with that. Because right now, trying to build an organization with no fields that we could play, when we are trying to develop kids at the ball age, the farm age, and that stuff, and gotten partnerships with the school, really helped us out. Use the Westfield, we can use the Murdoch Field for juniors, but we primarily use Westfield for T-ball and farm. The problem with that is it's a grass infield. So now we're trying to teach kids to hit, build ground balls, do all that stuff. When their size and their strength and their capabilities and stuff, they literally hit the ball and it doesn't pass the. So I mean, kids get bored. Like there's no ball movement. They sit around the ball literally in 20 feet. It's a swarm. That's just for games and practices. Well, with the upper divisions to try to develop upper divisions when we start getting into minors, majors, juniors, and stuff like that. Trying to practice on stuff like that. I've used many times to where I've actually held a baseball practice. And I know that all of our other board members and coaches do at Sycamore Park. We basically just find a patch of grass anywhere that we could try to establish a practice. It's not necessarily the best practice, but we do the best we can. To try and encourage kids to love baseball, get into baseball, and build an organization. So there's stuff here in Wills for the kids to do. It would be a lot easier and better for us if we had appropriate fields and enough fields that we could actually hold practices on, hold games on. So kids can get that feel, they can get that the baseball knowledge of playing on a field where you actually have active ball movement. We can actually run bases and stuff like that because it's kind of hard when the ball doesn't go past. So we're just trying to secure more areas that we can utilize so we can hold practices. Like right now, I came to the city and asked if we could reserve the fields basically 7 days a week for Siegel Field. Because we have 22 teams this year. We're trying to get practices on a game. And with the two fields, it's just not very feasible. And it doesn't allow for us to do much. One, because the Little League parks don't have any lights, so we're limited to daylight. So right now, on the Little League parks, we're literally limited from, let's just say after school, 2:20, we have scheduled practices starting at 3:00 and we end them at 6 daylight. So we literally only get about 3 hours of playing time. That's not a lot to try to get 22 teams. So we're trying to get more fields. So with that, with the Stiegel field that we're trying to add into this, to see if we could possibly get reduced fees or no fees, but we're not asking for the city to put any extra work into the field. So like when we're talking about practices and we're talking about games, we're not requesting the city to go down, chalk the fields, do the infields, do anything like that. We don't want any resources taken out of the city. That we take care of that ourselves. We've been directing. We have a very good relationship with Natisa, to where she allows us to do the infields and we take care of that, so they don't have to do that. Plus, and then they take care of the grass area just because of the sprinkler and stuff like that. But we try to do everything we can to limit resources taken out of the city or monies taken out of the city to provide services to that. So when we're asking for additional, the Stiegel field for practices and games, when we ask that, we're going to take care of the infield. We'll chalk it. We'll do everything that we can so the city does not have to go down there and take care of that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that like if the Willows Co-ed uses the field, which they pay a stipend, the city goes down and they chalk the infield. They do that. So there's monies taken and time away from the city of resources to for that. As a Little League, we take care of all that ourselves. So that's why we're just trying to see if we can get into a partnership to where we can get adequate field playing time, to where we can grow a youth sport here in Willows, so we can make it better. It's kind of really what we're doing, and everything boils down to keeping the cost of our league fees to the kids at a minimum. The more that we have to pay out, the more that we have to pass that cost down to the kids. So we're trying to find that happy balance to where we can have enough fields, a good organization, without having to break the bank of the kids that want to play to where we make it so expensive that they can't. So if we're just trying, that's where we're trying to find right.
And just to be clear, Lance, currently the additional field access is purely it's contractual, right? It's not, contractual and economic, right? The reason we have the fields, the reason you guys aren't using them more is because, hey, either the fees are too high or, prep level, or is it just contractual? Hey, our contract says we get this and we're just asking to expand that.
Yeah. So right now, our contract just states that we use the Little League Park, which would be the two area itself. We're trying to see if we can secure additional field at Stiegel Field, just basically to say that we know that we can secure it, so we can hold practices. So basically, right now, we were as a board ready to pay the fees of the 7 days a week that we use a field. I know it's a lot, but that's how many teams we got. And I wanted to say that it was upwards in the $2,000 range, because I don't know exactly, but it was somewhere right around the $50 a day or something like that the fields cost. And I could be wrong, but that's what we were looking at to try, just so we could get our season off. That doesn't even include games. So right now, anybody could go down and rent the field to reserve the field. Is how the city set.
Yeah, and I just want to, it's a $40 field rental, so you're right. And then if it's lights, it's the extra, I think 15. So I think one of the main issues we ran into with the dedications, because we were able to accommodate when it was brought up on the West Field, I believe, but we've also got softball going on with the high school. So it's not the ability that we can't set those up. It just needs to be coordinated through the use with the high school and their field.
We
So
understand, that's why we asked field,
Mhm.
East Field, because we're under.
Sorry, Lance, can I have you talking to the mic so
sorry.
that Gary can
I
hear you?
apologize.
No, you're
I
good.
apologize, Councilman Hanson.
It's just a reminder.
I believe we were under the impression that the high school dedicated to the West softball field. And so that's why we were asking for the Stiegel Field. Now, if they want Stiegel Field, we don't care. We're just either or. We just want an extra field that we can try to get teams to play on. And with that, we understand that if we hold night games, which we are trying to do, if we were able to come to a partnership, that the city or that the Little League would pay for the lights. We're not going to try to incur a cost to the city that we wouldn't pay. That's like where we would chalk our own fields. We'd take care of the infield. Honestly, we'd probably even mow the grass if they would let us, but just due to the sprinkler system and all that stuff, they take care of that. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And is that right? The high school just has one.
So the high school basically, and I think they've provided their schedule already for us. They provide us the schedule and say, this is what we're looking to rent. If somebody came up, and this would be the difference in having it in a contract to kind of dedicate to you. If you came up to me and I look and you wanted that field for every day for the year, I would go through and I would give you that for every day for the year that wasn't already booked through other people. So there's no issue besides things that are already assigned to that field and scheduled.
So real quick, Councilmember Hanson, I wanted to offer you an opportunity for any of your questions or comments. I think we've all had time to speak, so we're going to give you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize for not being there to my colleagues and also to you, Lance and Jeff. Lance and Jeff, appreciate your hard work and dedication to the Willows Little League. It's a great organization. I cannot see who else is in the audience, but I also extend those thanks to your colleagues as well with your organization. No, I think we can easily come to a fair and equitable partnership. I agree with my colleagues in the comments. that I've heard from Vice Mayor Thomas, Councilmember Pride, and some words from Councilmember Busby. So yeah, I don't see this as a problem. Appreciate everything that you do, and we'll make it work. And yeah, thank you for coming to the meeting tonight and presenting. Much appreciated. Keep up the good work, and thank you very much. That's all I had, Mr. Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you.
And additionally, I know I've taken up more than 3 minutes, and I really appreciate you guys allotting us that time. That I just wanted to say that when we were going in and renting or trying to secure the fields this year for practices, we were made aware that there's a group that actually goes down and rents the fields, not very often, but they do. And with that, if it were something that we were able to come into a partnership with the field and another organization wants to use it for that day or something, and we have to move practices or cancel practice or move something around, other than a game, we are absolutely open to do that. We don't want take away from any other organization using the field, but it just seems like during Little League, there's really no other organization using the field. And by the time that either Fast Pitch, or other than high school, I apologize, but between co-ed, if Fast Pitch comes back down here again, we're already done. Our season ends in the end of May. So pretty much after June, we don't use the field. So essentially from, let's just say, currently right now with rain and stuff like that, so beginning to middle of February to the end of May is really all we're looking for. And I know that seems a lot, but that is baseball season, and we don't see any other organizations using the field at that time. But if there is, we'd be more than happy to try to figure something out so everybody gets playing time with that. And again, in all the upgrades and the stuff that we put back in the fields, it's for everybody. When we're done with it, it's open for the rest of the year. So other than the dugouts being locked up, the fields are completely open. So anything that we do, it does benefit our organization, but it also benefits the rest of the city because they use it for the rest of the year.
So how many softball teams do you guys have total this year in minors and majors?
Well, minors and majors. 6.
6.
I'd like to propose, part of the thing that they're asking for in the agenda is some direction for staff. I think some of the systems that I've seen work for rec programs are tiered pricing, so kid programs pay one set, adult programs pay another set, and then, anything that obviously occurs or incurs any kind of hard cost has to be passed through, and then work out some sort of equitable trade in kind for the amount of investment that you guys put into the facility, against those fees or something like that. But I think the biggest one is, adult programs pay more than the kid programs because kids.
I just wanted to point out really quickly too that, other than being requested by the mayor to agendize this item, we as staff haven't heard about the reduced fees or the use of additional fields until tonight. So this is the first time I'm hearing of it. This is why the staff report is written in a way to just say, if you want us to investigate this more, please direct us to do so, because like I said, there's other groups that want to rent city facilities, and I think it would be incumbent upon city staff and the council to look at any kind of precedent setting implications and looking at the finances and making sure that we're consistent across the board with everybody who would do some kind of similar program. So I didn't know anything about this other than an email that I got from the mayor and now. So thank you.
And I like what Councilmember Busby said. If you're making investments into the city, I think looking at that as maybe not all groups would do that, depending on what kind of use they were doing. So that's definitely a component of what we would want to
Slow pitch
talk
were definitely
about.
harder on the fields than improving them. Mike.
And ma'am, this is new that's come up to us too, because it's one of the things that was brought up in the board meetings that we are trying to strategize to what we can do to make the league better and grow the field. So I hope you don't feel like we're trying to blindside you or anything like that. It's just something that we were talking so that hopefully we could do in the nature, and this isn't nature too.
I am accustomed to finding out about things before the council who I work for finds out. So it is a bit awkward. That's true. That's why I made that comment. But we can work with you and we'll figure this out. I'm sure we're going to need to contact you and sit down and talk a little bit more than we're able to tonight to figure out some more of the details.
Yeah, I mean, this honestly, it was a conversation that sparked when I was helping with tryouts for the kids, and then I think I ended up having a meeting with Marty and kind of brought it up real quick, or sent an email and then brought it up during the meeting, and so this is what was kind of discussed. So I told them if they wanted to, they could come talk at a council meeting and fill us in like you guys did on what your needs are essentially. So thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate your time. With
Thanks
that,
for coming.
I think staff has a pretty good idea of the direction of hopefully finding a way that we can work out something equitable for both sides.
Thank y'all, fellas.
Yes.
Perfect. Good. All right. Go ahead. Did you have something to add?
Did you want us to look at, because there's the Willows Little League fees that are solely driven by a contract price and nobody else can rent the Little League fields. It's just open at that point. Did you want us to look at the softball field rental prices as well and see if like mitigating that down to a similar level for the practices that we're looking for the Little League fields?
Well,
Those
when
are
I
open for reservation.
I don't know what the contract reads. Is there a dollar amount that you guys have to pay for your current contract, or is it
I believe it's 25.
$100? Is it $2,500 for you guys to rent the?
Just to be clear, last year's contract actually did not get executed because we wanted to make some.
We had a lot of things. We had a lot of things going on, and I get that because I'm looking at it, and just for them to rent Stiegel Field for 12 weeks at $5 or
That's
for 5
what-
days a week, it's $2,500.
$40 a field rental. That's why I wanted
So-
to ask. We've got it. And that's something that's set in our master fee schedule where like the Little League contract is solely just a contract with Little League. We don't offer reservations for it. So there is a bit of a difference, but
Mhm.
I'm getting that you want to kind of align both of those with a discounted rate, not charge the full for the softball reservation that would be open for the public to rent as well. That great. We do have a. Yep. And I'm just saying, do you want us to look at that fee that is charged that would be, because that fee at $40 a rental, then we do a $50 field prep, but they do their own prep and are great
Mhm.
about doing all their field stuff. But examine that, a reduction in that fee as well?
Well,
Or
'cause-
is that going to remain at $40 for use?
Doing the fields, not everybody.
No, like I can guarantee you that our co-ed slow pitch does not put time and effort into taking care of the field after
Agreed.
games.
Well,
Mhm. Yeah.
Well-
Something inside the masterpiece.
So in my mind, to try and change anything on our master fee schedule for people who would rent it according to just our basic requirements of we do the field prep, we do everything. In a specific Willows Little League contract, if they have proven their ability to do the prep work, to do it all, that their fee would be an exception based on.
based on that. And we would do that through the contract, not the master fee schedule. I just want
Correct.
to clarify because it's a
Yes,
new
sorry.
softball field rental. And it was kind of, we didn't know where we stood with it. This is the fee on the master fee schedule. So in the contract, we would have a fee similar to the reduction of the Little League field applied to that use of the softball field as well.
Like a promo code? When they check out? I'm confused by that. Yeah. I'm
What's that?
sorry.
Well, I think we need to just have staff bring something back. But I think another part of what's unique to Willows Little League is the amount of work they do on the Little League fields that are for the benefit of the city year round, other than dugouts being locked up. And that somehow we acknowledge that investment that they make in that, even if it applies to Stiegel Field over here in the
That's what I-
softball thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that's in the contract. So if anybody else came along and said, for example, Willows Little League didn't have to pay anything to use Stiegel Field, that doesn't seem right. We can go back to the contract and say, well, they're compensating us by the fact that they do these actual improvements to this other part of the city that offsets their cost.
That was all my clarification is that we wanted to examine the softball fields because that is currently not in the contract whatsoever. We
Right.
want to look at that
Yeah.
price reduction as well as a little in the contract. Yes. So that's
Correct. Yeah,
that's
we're only-
that's a rental fee.
We're looking at taking care of their contract and adding the Stiegel Field to that. And obviously, I mean, I'm going to be upfront. I'm not going to say it's going to be free, but $2,400 is definitely too much on top of you paying, seems like the adjusting rate between 190 all the way up to $810 just to rent the field for games alone. So I think that's, hey, maybe you guys have it 3 days of the week where it's guaranteed for you from after school hours till, end of, what time do kids go to bed?
Well,
7.
Depends on the
You know,
child, probably.
Something along those lines, and we'll make sure it's obviously fair and equitable for you guys as well.
I think there's another component that if it can be captured or at least taken into consideration is that in a sense, they're running a recreation program for the city of Willows. And if we look at the cost of what we spend running our basketball programs or our soccer programs, we have a cost for people that we pay temporary wages here and there. So I really think that it's just another unique element to Willows Little League that you guys are providing a recreational opportunity for 300 plus kids, and we're not having to run that program. So I think there's a benefit there to the city also.
So just in the past, I don't know about 2023, but I know in like 2022, it was $200 to rent the east field, west field, and then the Stiegel was on top of that. So
Okay.
it was
It's kind of-
$200 per field per season for the league for the
Okay.
contract.
The contract
22.
actually looks really confusing because if you want to use the field, you got to coordinate it through here and there's this and there's that. It just seemed like it wasn't very streamlined.
Yeah, but I think there's a way for us to get some dedicated days on that field for you. Then that would be the best route. And you say, hey, you guys have, there's 6 teams, you guys have 2 or 3 days a week to go to that field and use it during these times. And then if there's public that wants to use it, they have 2 other days. Come on, President.
So for the use of Stiegel, we're actually looking to actually utilize that as a baseball field too
Mhm.
by use of a portable mound. When I say portable mound, it's literally just a portable mound we could set and take off, and there's no setup. There's nothing that we put on the field. There's no marks left over, anything like that. It's something we just put on and take off. It's literally a piece of, best I could describe it would be some plywood with some turf and stuff on it that makes a baseball. So that way we could utilize potentially that as a baseball field too, or leaving it as a softball field and being able to convert the east Little League field back into a baseball field. Because the fact is that there's double, if not a little bit over double the amount of baseball teams than there are softball teams. And so we're trying to accommodate everybody and not have anybody get left out. And that's why we're trying like Stiegel Field so we can dedicate that to softball and possibly some baseball depending on what we want to do. But just seems like we're having trouble not giving all the teams in the divisions fair access to actual playable fields to where they could play other than a patch of grass.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming down tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Next item 6B. You guys don't want to stick around for all this?
They always
No? Okay. Item 6B, draft fiscal year 2025 through 2029 5-year capital improvement program. Recommended action, review the attached draft fiscal year 25-29 5-year capital improvement program and provide feedback. Staff will present the final version of the CIP at a future council public meeting. With this, we have our new city engineer, Lori, here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Loaiza, and I'm very excited to be the new city engineer, City of Willows. And as you mentioned, I am bringing the CIP before you tonight for review and comment. Later, we will conduct the required public hearing on the CIP, and then that will produce the final, and that time we will have the final document with all the comments. As a brief reminder, the city first created a 5-year capital improvement program in fiscal year 2022-2023. CIP helps both the council and staff keep our focus on priorities and allows the city to be more proactive. The document is intended to present both short and long-term capital improvement projects within the city. Although it presents 5 years worth of projects, the current fiscal year, which is known as the capital budget year, is the primary focus. With future years identifying projects, but more flexible in nature. The CIP is intended to be a fluid document and will be brought forward to council annually. Any project can be changed, moved, or deleted, as well as new projects can be added at direction of council. The overall CIP that's before you starts at a very high level, and as you move through documents, it provides more detail on the specific projects. So far, in 2026, we've completed 3 construction projects: the lift station rehabilitation project, sewer rehabilitation project, and the library emergency repair project. Also, under design right now is an annual street repair project at Madrone and Oak that is we're supposed to complete design, next couple of months and go to bid later this spring. And the design of the pool project, Sycamore Park Pool Project, was completed and actually went to bid today. And so it will be starting construction as soon as we can get all that going. And then, of course, fire equipment was produced. And for next year, looking ahead, the big thing is going to be completing that Sycamore Park Pool Project and getting that into construction and that pool done for the city. We also will hopefully get that City Hall ADA door improvement project. There will be various improvements at the wastewater treatment pond, including the liner for the ponds. And one more street rehabilitation project at Laurel. Assume we can get funding for that. In total, 2025-26 had about $8.6 million of anticipated capital dollars. And with that, I will see if you guys have any questions.
Vice Mayor Thomas?
Well, looking at the plan, the program cost summary and 5-year capital improvement program, has this been updated for today's meeting?
This was updated last about, I think December is when we finalized it.
Okay. Since then, we purchased a house in the south end of the fire department.
Okay.
And that house would be ultimately what we would use it for and what it needs to be done. So I think that needs to be on the list, whatever that is. It's certainly in a 5 or 10 year program. We don't know what it was a timely buy.
I can get with Nate, and if he would like to add a project to it, we can go ahead and create a project for it and a budget and a little summary for it. So
You know, like I said, we haven't really figured out exactly what its ultimate use will be.
honestly, that's fine.
I'm sure Nate has something up his sleeve,
His mustache.
The goal,
stuffed in his boot that he would be more than happy to do with it. But that should be on our capital improvement program. And the other thing that I think we need to have in here is something with regard to our police services, either police station or equipment, something of that nature towards reestablishing the police department that we're talking about. That's it.
Perfect. Councilmember Pride.
So I think what just confused me as I was looking through this today is that the first column is for fiscal 25-26, which we're starting to wind down. And the base year is kind of our budget year. And so as we're starting to work on the budget for next year, you know, so for me, I was kind of looking at what's coming up, right? What's actually going to be in that 26-27 budget. Because it's kind of like a lot of, I mean, it's great to look at what we've accomplished in 25-26 since it was the first year that we did it. Again, when I looked through, it looked like we were going back to our impact fee study or whatever was done in 08. Sorry if I don't have the right terminology. And the police department stuff was completely not accurate anymore at all. And I didn't know something that from 08 obviously isn't current any longer. And then sometimes some of the projects were like duplicated in different areas. So some, and fire in particular, would be under a like a fire 002 or fire 004. And then it was also under another category, almost the same thing. And I didn't know if that was for funding sources. To dive into this, and I can go through my whole thing because I made notes on stuff. But I guess if this is a planning tool in a sense, then looking at, what's actually going to be happening in 26, 27 is that sewer pond lining, under the sewer program. The parks, you could see that the parks were there. I agree with Vice Mayor Thomas that we need to build in some information on police department as we talk about with our Measure I success, potentially starting to bring that back. But I think my biggest question was just if we're looking at it as a base year for budget, kind of looking at 26, 27 and what's in 26, 27.
I mean, for fire, I'm looking, guess, I can get with Nate and we can kind of go over your projects and just make sure that that's all tied up. I think it looks like fire one is equipment upgrade, so maybe that's more intended to be sort of ongoing maintenance type things. Fire two was fire truck replacement, that's clear. And then fire three is fire station improvements and training center. So we can.
Yeah, a couple of them just seemed like it had a lot of improvements with no differentiation between specific projects, right? It was just kind of a generic thing. The only other thing I noticed as we look at FY 2029 and beyond, we have dollar amounts in there, and I just didn't see anywhere where that was very specific. I'm just kind of curious how we come up with specific numbers without just how we come up with those numbers.
I mean, I think the one thing to kind of note is it's really try to drill down more. Obviously this year we pretty much know it's half over, and next year we pretty much know because we're planning ahead for that year. And then as you get further away, it's really kind of a placeholder and not entirely. So that those tend to shift.
I'll just add to that a little bit too, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lori, but Fire 004, where we see construction of a training center to include classrooms, training tower, drafting pit for pump testing. There's no CIP money allocated in those upcoming years. And that is specifically that we don't have a funding source identified for these upcoming years. So as ones that you see that do have those, which may be a road project, we would be trying to obligate funds to those throughout years, maybe to build up for the project. But like Fire 004, currently we don't have a way to fund that. So if something came up, we would adjust the CIP. But the overall cost that we're estimating at this time is 1.17 million, but have not identified any funding to cover those costs. Whereas other ones you may see diff fees or things of that nature allocated in those early years.
Okay, so if it's a project under the 2008 Development Impact Fee Study, which would be the DIF 006, and I'm just looking at fire as an example, which has fire department, fire station expansion, outfit a new structure engine, outfit a new engine, and self-contained breathing apparatus. And then the fire 02s would have like truck fours in another area. So that's what I was just wondering, are these additional or are these, are they allocated differently because they were identified in a different place? Or as you were just saying, Joe, because there's funding identified or not identified?
Yeah, so for fire, so I'm going to go, sorry if I don't understand it correctly, but like Fire 002, the Capital Reserve Fund would be, kind of having that allocated, saving up that 150 for each of the years to meet the ground total of the 750,000. So basically we would want to be able to set aside that much money per year towards the overall purchase of the fire engine.
So the cost of engine 2 and engine 4 there, and then under DIF 006, which is page 131 of 164, you have outfitting a new structure engine, but that's 620. So is this just putting, one's the base model and one's the bells and whistles, so to speak? I mean, I actually had time and I went through this very thoroughly today, which maybe I shouldn't have. Sometimes
No, you're fine. So are you talking about the development impact fees for fire on the DIF 006?
Can I get a page number?
That's 131 of 164 is the diff 006 that I was just talking about.
So again, we see the costs and then what we expect to fund that piece of it, which is currently no funding in the fire development impact fees.
Okay.
To fund those. And then the costs are a little different than, I think it's, cost to outfit the engines and not the purchase of. But Nate may be able to speak that better.
Yeah. So just some, a little bit of background. when I originally had given some of these projects with Mr. Wenger, kind of the direction, this was my first go at a capital, and it was the city's first go at a capital improvement plan. And so basically my understanding of it was that, hey, put the big stuff on here that you can see the direction of the organization needing at some point. And it was kind of hard for me because I was kind of laughing as I was saying some of the things. He's like, yeah, put it down, put it down. I was like, wow, where's the money going to come from for this? And basically my understanding is that it was a guiding tool of things that the organization is going to need to get to over time, and it helps us plan. So a lot of the stuff that's in there, some of those numbers really aren't even super valid anymore because the price of apparatus have gone up so much. The price of construction has gone up so much, but they're pretty far out.
Right. And I get that. I just, like I said, some of it was just were kind of, you could read the same thing in a couple spots. And I just didn't know if that was a funding thing or just a tracking mechanism within the CIP itself. I mean, it's really, actually, I really like this. This is a great tool to look through, to see. I think as a tool for me up here is, as we look at this, to have notes, what's completed. I mean, we kind of know, but sometimes it's easy to lose track, but using it as a tracking tool too. So as we look at 25, 26, we can clearly see some things were done. And your report, Lori, was great because you really said that in the report, but kind of having it as memorialized in a document can actually be just a great way to look back and see our success, right? And actually getting things done. And it can be a great tool for being able to pull it out and show people, in a more user-friendly format that, this was our capital, I always want to say continuous improvement, our capital improvement plan. And these are the things we did complete in the fiscal years we kind of thought, and it shows that planning pays off and setting money aside pays off, and it shows progress. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Busby? Sorry, I was reading.
No, all good. First of all, thank you very much for putting this together. This is awesome. It's a tremendous amount of information. I too, like Lori, probably went way too far down the rabbit hole with it. A few things I do want to note. I think that this is a great tool. I understand that the function of the tool. I also noticed, in the first page on there, hey, a lot of these costs, especially in the forecasting for further out, are not inflation adjusted. That is a very, very, across years, we could be talking a 10 to 15% cost difference. But the point I'm going to make is this is an awesome thing to have. This is great for us. I think seeing, this is the first time I have seen, this is my first capital improvement plan. This is, government finance is extremely convoluted. And so being able to see all of our revenue sources coded out like this and how those funds get allocated, this was awesome. I think my point to that being, one of the things that we get asked, I don't know about you guys, but I get asked quite a lot, where the hell does the money go, right? Where does all my tax money go? It's all right here. We can draw a roadmap to where everything's going. $1 million this year in streets, $4 million in sewers, $3 million into the parks. Like, we're putting money back into the community. So my first point is, hey, I think that this is a really great document. It's in a spreadsheet, and I understand that I'm afflicted with loving spreadsheets, but I think that this is something that we could do a better job of selling to the community, that like, hey, this is where your money goes. So I'd like to see a version of this after we codify it, be presented and digestible or semi-digestible by the public. So we have that, like, hey, where does my money go? Well, it's in the CIP. Would you like to look at it? Kind of thing. The other thing that the point, and I'm sorry to be the financial Eeyore, a lot of this it is forecasting. It is, as Nate kind of outlined, hey, yeah, we'll take that. Yeah, we'll move toward that. It's planning, but just in fiscal year 25, 26 and fiscal year 26, 27, non-inflation adjusted, our unfunded CIP plan is our unfunded amount, not including our general fund hit, is more than what our projected budget surplus is. We're broke. Even after Measure I, we haven't even figured out, you know, the $10 million or whatever it's going to be to stand up a police department. We have a revenue problem. And this revenue problem is going to continue to get worse and compound year over year. We have to find a way to generate more revenue for the city that is not going into people's pockets via taxes. And that can be, you know, we have to come up with more ways, because every year this is going to get worse and worse and worse. So yeah, thank you very much. This is an awesome tool. It also scared the hell out of me because, hey, we have a revenue problem. We have a big revenue problem. That's the point I'd like to make.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hanson, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, real briefly. I appreciate Nate's, Chief Monk's comments as well. You know, this is, as we know, a living, fluid document. There's a bit of crystal ball work that goes into it, but it's a great planning tool. And I believe it was in 2022 when we brought this forward, staff first brought this concept forward. And it's great. And, you know, we just have to keep in mind, as has been said, it is a long range planning tool. It is a wish list. And the most important thing is the current year we're looking at as far as the capital budget, the program projects. But it's great for planning. Absolutely great. It puts everything on the deck. I agree with Rick's comments. I do feel there should be a place marker, if you will, for police department project. I think that's real important to put on there. And just one thing, I went through the document pretty thoroughly, and Lori, I did not see. I could have missed it, but the Green Street, Eureka Street reconstruction project, which we've been pushing down the road, is a joint city-county project. It was programmed with the Glenn County Transportation Commission just last week at our meeting, and it is in the regional transportation plan, but I did not see that on this document. Like I say, I could have missed it, but if not, I do believe it should be on this document. But Lori, first thing I skipped over, I'm sorry. Good job, by the way, bringing this forward and presenting. So did I miss it, or is it the Green Eureka Street project, or is it in that document somewhere?
That would be page 99 of 164. We've got Green Street rehabilitation project, and I am wrong on that because that looks like the patch project that we did previously.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that was at Last Street, right? Yeah.
I think what.
Okay, I will check on that.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's important. I mean, boy, that's a project that we need to get done eventually. And like I say, I did not see it on there. It could be I could have missed it, but I didn't see it. But a good document, good planning document, and good job, Lori and staff.
I think what it might have happened is it got added, but got transposed with the past repair.
Yeah, maybe because that was that project.
The previous patch job.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. That's all I had.
All right. Thank you. So I'm kind of going over this a little bit, and I'm kind of curious. When I'm looking at the revenue and expense summary fund, fire department fund is the first one that jumped out at me. It has nothing in it. The development impact fees, wastewater, has nothing in it until 29 beyond of a CIP projected expenses of $2,322,698. Sorry, $3,322,698. Where's that number coming from, and why is it being pushed into the beyond as an expense? Is that a calculated number that's coming from somewhere else in this document that I'm on? No, you're good. I'm on page 79 of the wastewater one is on page 79. And I'm just trying to understand where there's expenses here, but I'm confused as to where the number's being derived from.
So the numbers for
I think the wastewater impact fees.
Mm-hmm.
that $2 million.
Yes.
So I think you have to go down to the bottom. I mean, for the
In those project breakouts
for the breakouts, it'll explain how all those got
The 113 or 14 should be the beginning of the wastewater treatment plant upgrade. So those numbers that are broken out should add up to that total cost. And sorry, yeah, page 113. So these would be the specific projects that make up that total number.
Okay.
And I think the 1.4,
Mm-hmm.
And then I was a little thrown off because we do have in here the fire department, the engine 2 and the truck 4, which you see in one section, but then underneath the fire department fund, there's nothing listed under that. Is that in a different spot that I am just not able to understand in this document, or it is broken out, but then underneath the revenue expenses, I'm not showing the expenses for that. But yeah, we have annual costs associated to it.
go back to your first question about where it came back. So like if you go to page 117, you can see there's an annual sewer repair project. We have $450,000 a year. That's part of that money. Just kind of have to go through the project. And then another one, fire department. Fire 02. I think Nate and I are going to get together on the fire stuff up a bit. So that before we bring it to council final, I think some of this fire stuff maybe didn't get maybe needs to just sort of be updated and make sure that it's tightened up a bit.
Okay. Because I see, sewer operations, maintenance funds, and, wastewater treatment. I see things in the 25, 26, and the 26, 27 column. I see project costs and funding sources and things like that, but I don't see it when I look at the revenue and expense summary, are those not supposed to correlate, or am I just not looking in the right spots for that?
Are you talking fire now specifically?
So, no, so I'm going back to my question on page 79, the developmental impact fees for wastewater. But then when I look at projects that are associated to wastewater,
They don't.
there's nothing on the page 79 for the fiscal years separated out. But then when you look at the individual project data forms like 115, it shows the sludge ponds, equalization pond lining, 25, 26, 26, 27 have numbers in there, but there's none carried over into the wastewater. Am I just looking in the wrong spot?
I'll check that.
Because that would totally be something I would do. I'd be looking in the wrong area. And I wouldn't. You can point it out to me and be like, no, Evan, you're doing this wrong.
You probably had hair when you started looking at it.
I probably did.
That because that's development impact fee. Yeah. Yeah.
So am I looking at the wrong section then for that correlates to the wastewater treatment, right?
Go to the DF.
I'll pull out a specific one here. I'm looking at page 115. It's project number SS033. It's the sludge ponds equalization pond lining.
So that would be the sewer capital fund funding that, not the development impact
Okay.
fees. Yeah,
Perfect. That's what I was looking for.
I was crossed up on that
Yeah.
too. So the enterprise fund and the impact fees would be two different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting confused is there's
No,
not an easy way to correlate, hey, this project data form is going with this revenue expense summary by fund to where it's easy. Because nowhere in there does it say, sorry,
So
what
on
did you
page
say there?
15, it says
There's nowhere on here that it says sewer capital fund. It says wastewater treatment project type and location wastewater treatment plant, not sewer capital fund.
Correct. And those are two
Yeah.
totally different things. So
So
no, that's
that's
a
just
good
me
catch.
getting easily confused, and I apologize for
No,
taking
no,
up everyone's
it's-
time.
what I always like to say though, if somebody is getting confused, it's usually a good tip, because the whole goal is to make this as user friendly as possible. And sometimes when you're me, I know that I meant wastewater and sewer capital fund, so I appreciate
Right.
feedback. There is one, it's pretty far out. There is, I think it's
Oh, but
a diff O.
on section. It's showing up under, it's just showing up under a different, not wait.
So DIP 07, page 132 it would be where that $2 million.
That's what, sorry, that's what Lori was sliding over to
Yep.
show me.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, the dip and the wastewater, but yes, that took me a while to find too. So.
Really far.
I'm not saying it's not in here. I'm just saying like it, when I look up,
Figure out
if
this-
I was the public and I'm looking at for wastewater treatment stuff and I pull up a project data form that says wastewater treatment and those numbers aren't showing up in the right fiscal years.
Absolutely.
I just am trying to correlate the finances into the right categories here. But with that, I have no further questions and I will leave it to the pleasure of the council.
I
Oh, sorry. Is there any public comment?
I have one quick item to note, although we can
Okay.
update it. A diff 005 is a police department fund, although it's really far out. It's 2029 and beyond. So that is the only thing we did have as kind of a placeholder for a police department. Sounds like you guys maybe want to have something a little bit more in the near future
But
to meet
yes,
current council goals.
detailed and quicker. It needs some work, some input, so we'll have to work on that. So it doesn't look like we really have to make a formal action. We reviewed it and we provided feedback.
Correct. Yeah, right now, this is just sort of a conversation so that when we do present to council for final, it'll be.
And just one last thought, Lori, as we talked about making it user friendly, the conversation that we just had where you had wastewater treatment, a context, and then you have it broken out in different areas. If there's a way to put all the pieces for wastewater treatment together, I mean, different ways to look at it. Like one way it puts the summaries all at the front and then it breaks it down into detail. But if someone's just want to look at wastewater treatment and see the whole picture to be able to have that group together, I think wasn't that what you were sort of saying, Rick?
A sort by revenue source or something.
Or topic, like everything
Yes.
pertaining to wastewaters, you can look at it as that, or everything pertaining to fire, whether it's development impact fees or other fees, it's all kind of in one.
I think that the CIP format and structure, if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, Lori, this is a pretty standard structure, right? So what I think I would recommend is that we leave it for the CIP like this, but we come back and create a more user-friendly document for the lay public.
Yes. And that would piggyback, I
How
think,
about a
on
lay
what
council member?
Matt was saying too, just something that we can
Just
share
now.
more.
We're just lay public that got voted in.
Yeah. Yeah. We're a good representative example up here. Hilarious. Make it work.
At least I speak for myself on that matter. All right, with that,
Ditto.
thank you very much
Yeah.
for that presentation and welcome. And thank you for being here tonight.
Forward to working with you.
Thank
With
you very
that,
much.
We will go to item 6C. 802 Tamarack Street, confirm cost of abatement. Recommended action, review abatement cost for 802 Tamarack Street, EPN 005-272-002, associated with the enforcement action completed on January 30th, 2026, and adopt resolution XX-2026, attachment 1, levying the abatement costs against the property as a lien if not paid by March 6th, 2026. Contact Nathan Monk, Fire Chief.
Good evening. This action before you tonight is the end of a very long, multiple year code enforcement operation with a very non-compliant property owner at 802 Tamarack. This site was the source of many neighborhood complaints. Their property was in violation of multiple municipal codes and health and safety codes. We spent years beginning with informal, following the progressive code enforcement process, which ultimately resulted in staff seeking an abatement warrant and serving that abatement warrant that was issued by the Glenn County Court on January 30th. The city contractor performed the abatement and removed approximately 110 yards of trash, debris, garbage, appliances, all sorts of nasty business. We actually also drained a partially filled in-ground swimming pool. That was the source of lots of mosquitoes and other vermin and vector issues. As a result of that action, there were a significant amount of costs to the city, including $15,000 for the contractor to clean the property, just over $6,000 in administrative fees, $7,405 in hard staff time costs, and attorney time. Staff has prepared the invoice and sent the invoice to both the tenant and the bank-owned property. I have not received confirmation or any communication from them. This item before you authorizes us to place the costs of the action as a lien if unpaid. And with that, I'll answer any questions for you.
Do we know if there are any other liens on the property?
I do not know if there's any other liens. I know the property, part of the problem was that the owner kept stating that they were in the process of moving out and selling it. And what that turned out to be was that the property went into foreclosure and the bank took them. And we made attempts to reach out to the bank as well, and those attempts were successful.
What bank, just out of curiosity?
Couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Vice Mayor Thomas, anything?
The only question I have is if you freshly drained a swimming pool in the rains, is there an active drain there so it doesn't fill up again?
I'm sure it's probably going to start filling up again.
We'll have more mosquitoes, but if it's been foreclosed on, then the bank should be coming in fairly quick.
That is the hope, that the bank, the bank, it's their investment, right? So they're going to try to get that property turned back around. But the quick turnaround with getting this on is since we haven't received any confirmation or any communication back from the bank yet, that we get this placed on as a lien sooner than later, because the bank's going to try to sell that property again.
Get her done.
Councilmember Pride?
The only question I had, because we specifically show city staff time, and in your report, you specifically said that was hard staff time, but I was curious what the administrative fees consist of.
So the staff time is primarily my hours over the last 2 or 3 years of writing notices, going and talking to the owner, then I guess tenant / squatter, and trying to gain compliance. I believe it was like 93 hours or something like that is what I could gather up. The problem, and I'm sure it was probably in excess of that, but it's just what I could for sure hard prove. The administrative fee, this is one of the things that we talked about in the putting in the master fee schedule at some point, was an administrative fee. Again, anything that I've done, I've always used 25% of the total cost. And that was because that's what Chief Peabody did before me. And so that's what I have continued. And when I'm adding an administrative fee, it's typically for non-compliance for a code enforcement issue. So I see it as part of the punitive component. But that's you guys.
Councilmember Hanson, anything to add?
Yeah, thank you again, Mr. Mayor. No, I'd just like to thank Chief Monk for your leadership and tenacity in pushing this matter forward. As we know, abatements are painful on our end. They're expensive and time consuming. That's unfortunate, but that's just the process. But Chief, you've stayed on this, you've dogged this all the way through, and finally here we are. So excellent work. And one more deplorable property in our community down. And I do know that the neighbors, the residents and property owners surrounding that dump really appreciate it. So shame on those property owners, but good job, Chief. One down, more to go, unfortunately. That's all I had, Mr. Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Busby, any further questions?
Just one question, really more for the city attorney. Is there any difference in assessing this lien pre-foreclosure or post-foreclosure? Or does it not matter?
I would say that getting it done is probably
So if the bank's non-responsive, I'm hoping that's because they haven't completed foreclosure proceedings, and I wonder if there's any urgency that matters at this point. It may be so far down the path that it doesn't matter, and it's kind of out of our control. But if we have a choice, kind of thing.
I mean, once it's recorded, it's recorded. Bankruptcy. It's still going to be ranking and payment, but still going to be going to cloud the time.
Okay.
So the bank is going to have.
We have
a-
recourse. Yeah.
Yes, the
Yeah.
bank will have a incentive to get that title. Sell it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
It raised another question for me, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
From my title background and my title hat, is the lien name the lender as well as the foreclosed owner?
That
Is-
is a really good question.
Because if it doesn't name, if the foreclosure's gone through and the trustee's deed's been recorded, constructive notice wouldn't apply if we didn't name the lender.
I recommend. I know you've been in out to them. All the background.
Yeah, I can. Oh, I don't know if this is necessarily the perfect venue for all that background, but I can.
I think it sounds like staff and
Well, I'd be happy to find out if the trustee's deed's been recorded.
My one question, Chief, you said you worked on this for a couple of years. Is there any way to speed that process up to where this isn't taking multiple years out of time and effort to get these properties cleaned up? It seems like each one takes
So
multiple years.
So part of the problem with the timeline in the past was that, as you guys have seen, that these actions are expensive. And so what we were doing was enforcement with the mindset that at the time, especially pre-Measure I, the city did not have the resources to be dumping into the abatements. And so a lot of it was like trying and working with them and doing every possible thing that we could do. Because sometimes there were abatements that came up that we had no option to not do, like the 143 North Yolo, when we had to do the emergency summary abatements out into the public right away. And then when it ended up catching on fire, right? Some of those things, like we had no other choice to not do. And so in the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, with working with Nick and at the code enforcement / building official, we've been kind of, I don't want to say perfecting, but we've been cleaning up the process quite a bit, and we've been taking care of them. Like the last, one of the last properties that we brought to you in closed session, that one got taken care of, and we were able to get it taken care of without having to fully move forward with the abatement. We're bringing another one forward on a much shorter timeline, but that's because we have a little bit more of the legwork piece and component figured out.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
If I could just also mention that, I think this is a great example of how the passage of Measure I has allowed the city to be a little more assertive in code enforcement efforts, because we're able to front, some of that money that we couldn't do before, where we were only looking at projects that we absolutely had to do something with. Now there's more discretion to be a little more assertive. And frankly, that's just because there's more revenue and cash flow than before.
Yes, which has been great because there's been quite a few properties that you've been bringing to us that have been needed, be enforced on, just from a safety aspect. So thank you for that. Is there, I'm not seeing a direction needed on this. This is just information.
Mr.
No,
Mayor, I
It's
would
a
move,
resolution. Sorry. Go ahead.
I would move that the city approve the resolution of the City Council of the City of Willows confirming the cost of abatement for 802 Tamarack APN 005272002 and levying said cost as a lien against the property. Be approved.
I have a first. Is there a
Seconded.
second. First and second. Any further discussion? All right. With that, this will be a roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Busby,
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pride,
Yes.
Mayor Hudson.
Yes, motion passed 5-0. Next up, item 7, public hearing. All matters in this section of the agenda are formal public hearings and will be acted on individually. Individuals wishing to speak on these items are asked to complete a speaker card and submit it to the city clerk. Comments should be directed to the mayor and council members and are limited to 3 minutes. If you have any documentation that you would like distributed to the council, please give it to the city clerk for distribution. First item, item 7A, ordinance amendment to Article 3 of Chapter 8.10 of the Willows Municipal Code. Recommended action, conduct a public hearing for the second reading and adopt the ordinance titled, an ordinance of the City of Willows amending Article 3 of Chapter 8.10 of the Willows Municipal Code relating to abandoned, wrecked, dismantled, or inoperative vehicles by title only and waive the full reading of the text. With that, I will give it to Nathan Monk.
Good evening, council. The item before you tonight is the second reading of the vehicle abatement ordinance update. Just a little bit of history. This was originally planned to be done as part of the global code update. However, we moved it up because of the abandoned vehicle abatement committee. So there's a 3-party committee consisting of a representative from the county, which is the sheriff, a representative from the city of Orland, which is the chief of police, Joe Vlatch, and me as the representative for the city of Willows. This abandoned vehicle abatement committee is a subcommittee of the Board of Supervisors, and basically it allows us to access a pot of DMV funding for abandoned vehicle abatement that can occur under certain criteria within the jurisdiction of Willows, as well as Orland and the rest of the county. One of the things that this was a committee that used to exist and then kind of dissolved over time, and we're reestablishing it. During the process of reestablishing it, we noticed that some of our ordinances were no longer in compliance with what the CHP mandates be in compliance. Ours wasn't too far off, but it still had a few things it could clean up. So we worked with the city of Orland and Glynn County to try to mirror our ordinances as close as we could to one another. That way, it doesn't matter where it's being enforced. It's enforced the same across all 3 jurisdictions, and that it will make the review process a little bit simpler at the AVA committee. We're asking that we hold the public hearing, take input from the community, and then you guys will take a vote and hopefully pass this ordinance. And 30 days after the vote, the ordinance will take effect.
Okay. With that, I'll open this hearing to public comment at 7:35. You don't want to comment on this one? All right. Well, as there has been adequate opportunity for the public to be heard, I close the hearing to further public comment at 7:35. Are there any other inquiries from the board?
No.
With that, I'll give it to the pleasure of the board.
I would move that we look to adopt an ordinance of the City of Willows amending Article 3 of Chapter 8.10 of the Willows Municipal Code relating to abandoned, wrecked, dismantled, or inoperative vehicles by title only and waive the full reading of the text.
But first, is there a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just once again, similar comments that I'm echoing when this was up for discussion at the first reading. But just like to thank Chief Monk and our Deputy City Attorney Sean Cameron for creating and crafting well written ordinance. Good job. Like Chief said, the former ordinance wasn't too bad, but it was a little outdated. But this will help go a long way to eliminate blight. So good job, Chief, and go get them. Thank you.
All right. With that, this will be a roll call vote.
Councilmember Pride,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas,
Aye.
Councilmember Busby,
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson,
Aye.
and Mayor Hudson.
Aye. Motion passed 5-0. Next up, public hearing, item 7B. Fiscal year master fee schedule update. Recommended action, conduct a public hearing on the fiscal year 26-27 master fee schedule, MFS, update and adopt a resolution. Attachment 1. Approving the MFS contact will be Joe Betancourt, our Community Development and Services Director.
Good evening, Council. This item is a proposed update to the master fee schedule. This builds upon the comprehensive 2024 user fee study conducted by Wildan, which calculated staff time for various permit types. This proposed update includes a 3% CPI adjustment that has been applied to most of the fees in this, except for things like park fees and other flat fees, to ensure that fees keep pace with increasing costs of providing services. In addition to the CPI adjustment, staff added fees that were not previously captured in the schedule. Examples include establishing a business license renewal late fee, adding a street use permit fee, creating a second offense penalty for working without a permit, and formalizing per page copies. That's just to name a few, and it's not all inclusive. This is to ensure that the city is recovering all costs for services provided and also to discourage repeat violations through stiffer penalties. Staff also removed or modified certain building permit fees in order to improve customer clarity and simplify the fee schedule. So that means since these fees are based on time study, we were able to eliminate a lot of individual items on the fee schedule and put them under group categories such as electrical, plumbing, or mechanical. All recommended fees remain at or below reasonable cost of providing service, which is consistent with Proposition 26. No proposed fees exceeds the cost of service, and this updated fee will become effective July 1st, 2026. The fees carry a little different timeline when they're adopted by resolution compared to regular resolutions of 60 days. So we're well ahead of that to adopt these for the July 1st new fiscal year. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Vice Mayor Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Joe. On page 159 at the bottom, SMIP Category 1 and SMIP Category 2.
Mhm.
There's a valuation figured in there and it says selected permits. What in the heck is that?
So the SMIP fees are a state mandated fee that we have to pay. So that I believe goes to actually a disability ADA funded program for the government and just is distributed to local agencies. So that is something that we pay. So we collect that through each of our permit fees. And that valuation formula associated with the SMIP fees basically states that if the valuation of the project is less than or equal to $3,850, then it's half of the permit cost times 0.00013. So it's a formula we have plugged into our Tyler system that automatically calculates based on.
It goes to the state for.
Yes, correct. Yep. So it's a fee that, yes, is collected and gets sent to the state with a very complicated formula.
Councilmember Pride.
So you have.
Yes.
Okay. So I noticed also on page 159 that there's an additional inspection fee sort of in the upper part of that for $102. And then under other building fees, there's an additional inspection fee for $99. They're both under the building. There's one planning.
Should be on page 159. So we've got
159. So right under sign permit up on the top part, it goes demo permit, sign permit, additional inspection fee. And then you drop down middle of the page, it has other building fees, and about 3 lines down, it has additional inspections.
Yes, I see that.
So I didn't know if that was a duplicate.
That appears to be a duplicate. Let me look at my 1 second here real quick.
Yeah, because there's two different values there.
You know, I tried to look, they look like they're all within the building section because they're
Mhm.
within re-roofs and water heater changeouts and whatnot. So I didn't think one was planning.
Yeah, I think what happened is the old fee did not get deleted out and the updated
That's-
fee is included there. So we will strike that lower fee.
Perfect.
Yep.
And then on page 161, it's engineering fees. I know that an encroachment, I'm getting very, I had too much time today, which never happens, but
That's fine. That's
under the encroachment permits under engineering fees, it's $219, and that fee includes 2 inspections and a cost of $79 for every additional inspection. So our other additional inspections are 102. Just curious, you know, again, a building inspection being different than an encroachment permit additional inspection, if it's somebody different doing it or it takes less time.
that is correct. It would be the assumption that that would be our public works superintendent
Okay.
and based on their hourly rate because she
Okay.
is the go-to for the encroachment permits.
Perfect. Under fire fees on same page, well, 161.
Yes.
So there's a new business fire inspection flat fee for a first inspection. It doesn't delineate what types of new business. So does anybody who opens a new business have a fire inspection fee? And is that collected when we collect a business license fee, or how do we determine when that fee applies?
So when we get a new business coming in, depending on if it's a new building or there's a fire sprinkler, so we go through our normal process check, which is the planning, building, and then occasionally the fire inspection, depending on if it's a restaurant. So if when Chief Monk sees that review, if he determines that it needs a fire inspection, that's where that cost would come in addition to their, but it would be through the building, sorry, the business license.
Okay.
That
so
ad is
that's part of
identified.
the process there.
Correct.
So another fire fee question. So false fire alarm activation. So on your 4th offense, you get charged $500. So there's no charge for offenses 1, 2, and 3. And then we get a grace period for number 5, but now we're charged again for number 6. And then we get a grace period for number 7, but we get charged again for number 8. And my question sort of became, is there a time period for this? Is this all like within a 2-month period and you're getting really tired of going out there? Or is this over the lifespan of the company, or how do we do this?
I will pass that one. to
Yeah,
the
so
left.
that comes out of the municipal code. It's within a 12-month period. Typically, I have been, I think I've only sent maybe 2 or 3 bills in the course of my last almost 5 years now. I don't think any of them have ever been paid. And we interpret it fairly loosely. Like if it's caused by like 600 North Humboldt had a alarm system that every time the wind would blow, it would go off, and it was because the alarm was faulty. And so I had sent them some invoices, and then they spent a bunch of money and they upgraded the system. Then we started getting calls there again, and what was happening was it was kids that were pulling the alarms. And so like we really try to look at the totality of the circumstance, and is this a faulty alarm that they're refusing to fix, or is this something that's outside of their control? And so that's kind of how it, at least my interpretation of the code has been.
And I think what we'll do to clarify that is in the notes section, we'll add something that links it to the code of being annually based on a period of time.
And while we're on fire, I also, this is my apology, and we'll have to make sure that this gets fixed, but the re-inspection, it's listed as a flat, and that should be a per hour. And that's because when we re-inspect, the way it works now is if we have to do like a mandated inspection of a building, or say an apartment complex, we're mandated by law to do that. So we do the inspection, we find something wrong. We say, hey, we're going to give you 2 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks to fix it. If they haven't fixed it in 2 weeks, the second That's the second inspection, and that was their last freebie. Now, the third inspection, we need to be able to bill per hour, and that's because if, say it was at, I don't know, your old real estate office, right? That's a very small building. It might take me 5 minutes to walk in and figure out that that's taken care of. But going to 600 North Humboldt, inspecting that place could take 4 or 5 hours. And so that's just one typo that I know that we had talked about, and a lot of the changes that we had talked about are in there. That's just one typo. That
I appreciate you taking the blame for that, but that is my fault. I see on my version where I'm changing things, it was supposed to be per hour. So I will get that. You
That was
wasn't
gonna
paying
be me,
attention to
but-
the numbers and it's hard. Yeah. But no, we'll get that changed to hourly and that'll be per hour for the inspection.
Should have done small.
I know, smaller. Well, I should have done everything in Word so it squiggles, my differences instead of manually crossing them out. But yes, that I have that noted and you did tell me, so we will get that corrected.
So I just have two more.
Yep.
So under the sewer fees, sewer connection fees.
Yep.
So if you look on the last page 162, at the very bottom, it says all other sewer connection fees are per acre. So $4,601 per acre. I just was curious, what are some examples? Because we don't really specify, we have some commercial type things specifically listed for sewer connection fees.
So yes, so this is basically nothing that was invented or updated in the master fee schedule in 2024. This is taken straight from the old language that was last adopted. So
Okay.
it just reads straightforward. We wanted to include them so they're in here, but it is an exact copy over of when that was adopted. So it may not make complete sense, but that's something that we can look to get updated as far as those connection fees go, because it is an old document that it comes from.
And this might segue nicely into our earlier item on the study that we're going to do. And Vice Mayor Thomas is looking at billing and looking at other things that pertain as we look at it. Maybe that can be talked about
Absolutely.
connection fees or something when we look at that. So lastly, I kind of skipped over planning, but this is a question I've always had because we have minor use permits, major use permits, minor variances, and major variances. And the cost difference, especially on the cost recovery, is significant. How do we define the difference between a minor use and a major use?
Not well. So that
That's kind of what I thought. That's why I wanted to ask.
When we
Honesty. Wow.
Thank you for your brutal honesty on that.
So we don't have anything in our code having a definition between a major or a minor use permit. So as a default to this point, I think we're looking to clarify if we want some sort of price break done, it'll be in the Chapter 18 update to where if there's a project valuation over X, it kicks it into that major use. But currently we don't have a definition and we are defaulting to the minor use permit for every project at this point.
Okay, because if there's additional cost incurred, that's a deposit
and
only.
Exactly. And for a use permit, there's all different kinds that ones we can say, hey, if it's over this, we could reasonably estimate it taking 2 to 3 hearings. And that's why, it's going to be more work for the planners. So it's something that'll be addressed or go away with the update of Chapter 18.
Okay.
Other municipalities do have it. We do not have any split or definition in our current code of major use permit versus minor use permit.
Thank you. Oh, actually, I do have one more. So no more pre-development meetings. I know in our prior approved master fee schedule, we actually have one free pre-development meeting and a fee for a second pre-development meeting. And I did not see pre-development meetings in the revised version. This would be under planning.
Mm-hmm.
Very last line in our current plan, second pre-development meeting fee is a flat fee of $100. And then the note is the first meeting is free. 100 for each additional meeting. And I know we've talked about, we set up a little room where people can meet with a planner, and so are we just not addressing that currently, or should we have that line left in there in the new one?
Go ahead.
I think the plan was to, especially in light of that conversation about providing, business support and outreach that we had, the presentation I did several weeks ago now, was that part of what we would be offering is the free pre-development meeting, and we would continue that. I, to be perfectly frank, didn't realize that we had subsequent possibility of pre-development meetings that have a fee to them, which I think is a great idea because we can't just keep, giving time of our contract engineer and all that. I think once is fair, but if somebody wants to avail themselves of continued, advice, especially on a complicated project, I think it's great. We should offer it, but we should
Yeah.
charge some nominal fee.
So I didn't know if that was an oversight or a conscious decision to drop it.
It is an oversight, and the reason that we have the second, I don't know how that skipped off my list. It might have got lost in a page break, to be honest with you, because it is on this one. And the idea was behind is
Well, it was right, CEQA filing fees are.
it was right above the CEQA filing fees in the
Yes.
previous, correct? So
Yes.
yeah, so that might have been a
Well,
page break.
are CEQA filing fees on here?
They're on the very bottom of the next, they're the top of the next page.
Oh, there they are.
So that page break would
Oh,
be,
actually, there is a second pre-development.
oh, it's the little mini tab. There we go. I didn't even see it
I
myself.
didn't see it either. I saw it
Oh.
on this one, but I didn't.
So the page break is creating an optical illusion. So
All good.
yeah, so the first one free. And what we do, the reason for that second development fee meeting is sometimes we get people that want to have 7 meetings before they submit an application. And that costs us a lot of staff time at a pretty chargeable rate. So we start charging them those fees. And yes, we'll sit there and talk about it all day, but we encourage them to put in their application. So that way we can get our cost recovery deposit on file and start working off of that. But yes, that was very hard to see.
Councilmember Hanson, anything to add?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, just very briefly, good job, Joe, in the document overall. I think, the increased fees are obviously just due to rising operational costs due to normal inflation. So it's good to be on top of it and not be, behind the 8 ball on it. So we don't lose money. But I apologize. I have a question. I normally wouldn't waste everyone's time with a simple question. I would have handled it by email, but the last 3 or 4 days have been a little wilder for me than normal. So I just have one question. I could have missed it. I did not see HVAC installation upgrade on there anywhere. I'm sure it probably is. Did I miss it, Joe?
So we basically, since this is a time-based study, we kind of grouped all of our permits again in major categories if there's no additional time for our tech to do them. So the HVAC stuff is all sorted under mechanical. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And I do want you guys to be aware that even though the fee schedule has been compounded as much as possible to avoid duplication of things that are going to cost the same, these things are broke out in Tyler. So if it's a duct only HVAC replacement, the Tyler description will read that on the permit, but we don't feel a need if it's all the same amount of time to do the permit and the same amount of inspections to duplicate it. So we really tried to kind of shorten the list and make it a little easier to see.
Yeah, well, that's why it was shorter. So, okay, I saw the mechanical lines. So, no, thanks, Joe. You answered my question. That's all I had. Good job.
Councilmember Busby.
Something to add? Thank
Okay.
you. Awesome. Standardization.
Quick question, or 3 real quick for you, Joe.
Yep.
On page 158, I didn't see solar under building permit fees. Is solar considered electrical or
It should be in there. That's
I missed it?
Yeah.
It's a valuation looking formula.
Oh, you know what? I see it. It's on page 159.
Residential solar.
I didn't scroll far enough.
Nope, totally fine. We actually did add one fee on solar too for the installation of EV charging stations, as it's kind of separate from the household thing. So, but we are mandated by the state to limit our charging on solar. I mean, you actually caught a mistake on the first 2024 go around on that piece
Okay.
of it. But yeah, we're locked into those.
Okay, then on page 160 at the top, sorry, it starts on 159, I believe, but you have the cost for building valuation formula,
Yes.
the plus category. Beside it sound like a special endorsement. I've just noticed that the variation on the plus category fees is pretty widespread. I was kind of curious why. Starts off with none, goes to $6.66. Then the next one jumps to the highest at 30. So I was kind of curious as to how that was formed, or if it was carryover from prior.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is another strange table. So this is taken from I can't remember the exact name of the green book, but it's a 1997 building code standards book.
Okay.
And this basically, and that sounds really old because it is. So the standard for these, and this would go for new builds, this would go for additions, this would go for expanded square feet, where we've got a new type, basically an increase or a major alteration to the square footage. And so it goes to this valuation formula. And what we did is we take the 97 version and then we have updated for CPI and inflation over that time to arrive at these numbers. So these numbers were all established in 97, and then they've been, took me a nice long process to update them from 97 on the original one, and are used for new builds. This is also the Glenn County standard, and a lot of places go to this for new builds. Honestly, it's not a perfect system. It all should be as close to time-based as possible, but it's really hard to determine standards for additions based on flat fees. So the valuation formula is what most places use for new builds, increased square footage, those things. But they are numbers just established by the International Building Code Green Book from 1997 that we've applied CPI to.
Okay. And then last question is on the motel hotel with restaurant facilities versus motel hotel without restaurant facilities. It's almost am I doing my math right to where that's a quadruple of an increase on the cost there?
And again, yes. So those numbers are just taken straight from what the last approved connection fee was. And I believe we need to have those looked at when we do the 218 study and update them as well. But I believe they do fall under the Prop 218. So when we do our sewer rate study, we'll examine these sewer connection fees as well. They haven't been updated in a long time.
Okay.
And regardless if we change the fee, the way the descriptions of the categories are and how they're determined should definitely be changed.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking of hotel, motel with a restaurant there,
Yeah.
a restaurant is, I mean, a hospital technically has the same capability as a restaurant, full kitchen, everything else. So
Exactly.
it just seems odd that each room is getting the full charge to where everywhere else, each room is getting half a charge.
And I'm not sure,
at
but I would
half the
assume
cost.
there's
So-
an updated standard to that probably that we
Mhm.
need to definitely look at and incorporate in the new fee study.
'Cause I want to make it easier for our motels and hotels with restaurants to want to come, especially if they're
Absolutely.
bringing a steakhouse. With that, I have no further questions. Any other questions or comments from the council? With that, any public comment? Oh, sorry, this is a public hearing. Excuse me. Sorry, with that, we will open it up to the public at 7:58. Comment this time?
Hmm.
Okay. And with that, given adequate time, we will close the public hearing at 7:59. Pleasure of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Willow, State of California, establishing a schedule of fees and charges for the city of services and repealing previously adopted fees and charges for such services. And Joe, do I need to make a mention to the corrections you're going to make?
Just with corrections as noted.
As amended in our discussion prior to vote.
Have a first. Is there a second?
Seconded as amended.
A first and a second. Any further discussion? With that, this will be a roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Busby,
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pride,
Aye.
Mayor Hudson.
Yes. Motion passed 5-0. Next item up is comments and reports. First up, item 8A, council correspondence. I did not receive any. City clerk, did you happen to receive any? No, okay. Item 8B, city council comments and reports. Vice Mayor Thomas, we'll start with you.
I have none.
Okay. Councilmember Pride.
I have a couple. So we had a very small committee meeting to talk about the banner designs for our upcoming contract. And so we're waiting to we'll get some drafts. We're going to go down to 3 versions of photos. We're going to modify, have 3 different photos. We're going to incorporate the new wayfinding sign, Welcome to Willows, on the banner, maintain the Find Your Refuge. Otherwise, they're not going to change that much. But I was driving through downtown and I think changing the pictures out is going to be a good thing. So one of the ones we're using would be a Thunder Hill photo that you had provided to the city manager, just updating that photo. One's going to be a photo of the almond blossoms in bloom. And one, we're going to be looking for a goose, something representative of our waterfowl and also our Willows High School honkers. So those are going to be the photo changes. I was able last Wednesday to help out our librarian Christine when she was on vacation, and I got to do the Wednesday reading program with the kiddos. So that was a lot of fun. We've had some new Facebook threads regarding, willows and growth, no growth sort of a thing. I've met with a couple of the folks on that thread, just meeting for coffee and whatnot. And some of the feedback I'm getting is like our city newsletter, which not everybody knows about. If there's a way to actually post that city newsletter onto the What's Going On in Willows, I mean, we put it out on Facebook, I think. But the feedback I'm getting is if we have Willows information to share, that we need to post it directly to the What's Going On in Willows, because that's where a lot of people are looking for information. So I just want to throw that out there as a thought. Another brief conversation I had with staff was as we look at code enforcement, again, I don't know about the rest of you on the council, but I'm hit up all the time with people having complaints about things they see in Willows. And I'm constantly reminding people that we do have a code complaint form. The best way for them to get results is to take the time to fill out that form and turn it into City Hall. I thought it would be interesting, and if it's not a huge impact on staff, if we start, and I know we're tracking it, but if we can see, maybe not specifics, but just we've received this many code complaints. There are these types of complaints. Here's the action that we're taking. For me, when I'm out talking to people, it would be lovely to have some of that to share in a kind of a concise way. So that was just a thought that I shared with staff. Again, if it's not too burdensome to put something like that together. And then maybe just periodic updates for us at the council meetings to kind of give us an idea of what's going on. Again, I'm still kind of wanting to see some updates on our Willows Municipal Code. I brought it up before. I just know we get so busy with other things. I'm mindful that I know I personally would like to start being able to review drafts or final drafts that Prentice Long is doing for that part, and even an update when we can expect to see a first draft on Title 18 would be cool, or a first look at a draft.
Very quickly, so we've been having, I think this actually was a recommendation of yours, Councilmember Pride, regular meetings with Prentice Long, the staff that are managing the updates to the Muni Code. And we've been doing some back and forth on double checking work that was done, because they're sort of languished after the whole, we're going to have Harris do Title 18 and everything kind of stopped on all the other sections. And so we have been double checking what's already been done. And I didn't really want to start giving it to the council until I was sure that staff in-house and Prentice Long are on the same page. And we're not quite there yet. So that's why you haven't seen or heard anything. But I am mindful of the fact that you do want to start getting those. And the other thing is that Harris, their timeline is to have something done by June. So, and it's only one title. So I don't know that it would make sense to give sections of Title 18 until it's done. I mean, we could check in and see what the status is and let you know where they're at with it.
I'm just from being on the planning commission, whatnot, Title 18 is a huge title, and it encompasses really a lot of where the rubber meets the road for a lot of what is forward facing for the city, how our town looks, all the zoning stuff. So I'm mindful we get a big draft in June, and it's easy to overlook stuff because you're trying to go through it quickly. So,
right. I mean, and maybe we draw out the timeline for review. If they're not ready with a draft till June, maybe there's more time that we have review than was initially planned for.
Or even if there's a draft that the planning commission could start having feedback on. I'm just more eyes, more community eyes on it, the sooner rather than sooner than later. I just think would have some benefit.
Okay. We'll look into that.
Thank you. That is all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. As Evan was present with me last week on February 19th at the Glenn County Transit Committee meeting and the Glenn County Transportation Commission meeting. The RTC meeting, Regional Transit Committee, was uneventful, just extremely routine business. However, the Transportation Commission meeting was concerning. One good thing I mentioned earlier during one of the action items that the regional transportation plan was approved with all of our city requested projects programmed, which includes Eureka Green Street project as well. So, however, very concerning. Matter of fact, as you know, 3 weeks or so ago, we had the emergency repairs that Caltrans did to the intersection of Wood and Tehamus, right at 162 and Tehamus Street, which was fantastic. Well, we were all advised by our Caltrans representative, the planner, who is our liaison with the Transportation Commission, with Caltrans, that the State Route 162 reconstruction project has yet been pushed back again to 2028. That's the project that runs throughout the city of Willows from our western city limits near Walmart and the airport area to the railroad tracks. As you know, remember a couple of years ago, from the railroad tracks east to Glen was reconstructed and well done. Well, here we are in Willows once again, bottom of the barrel. As a note, our sister city, our friends in Orland, their project on State Route 32 was programmed. However, ours was kicked back yet again. So it's time to get the big guns involved and have our assembly and state senate partners rectify this problem. This is insane. I don't know if we'll ever see the State Route 162 project be completed in Willows. That was supposed to have been done in 2024, 2025, then 2025, then 2026, and now we're at 2028. It's just it's insane. That roadway is not going to be a roadway in 2028. It's going to be just a wide ditch bank. But first thing I did, Evan, on the way back was I hightailed it to City Hall and advised our city manager, Marty Brown, about that. Just I tell you, I wasn't surprised, but this is absurd. This just yet another blow to Willows. I don't understand it. But anyway, that's all I had. I'll stop my rant. And thank you for putting up with my absence tonight. I will be at the next meeting. I know this is not a perfect situation. So thank you very much. That's all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Busby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yep, we had a library board meeting last Thursday. My first meeting as a library board trustee, not just as the liaison. It was very productive in getting the report from Christine as to what the library programming statuses of projects. She's been very busy. If you have not been to the library or seen the expanded programming area, which was the back room after the ceiling collapse, that ceiling collapse is turning out to be very fortuitous. That's an awesome area for the library. Very much needed programming space, storage space, etc. So super happy about that. Super happy to get the code of conduct changed tonight for her. So yeah, library's moving along. No votes or mentions of any of the trustee spending, just getting a plan for the year. And then I did receive in the mail, and I believe we all did, a book, The Great Train Heist, which is about the smart taxpayer vote, which Sonoma County is going to be voting on later this year. Unfortunately, it didn't have a return address or a from. So if we had a conversation about this and I forgot, I apologize, but I'd love to know who to send a thank you card to. So thank you.
Everybody would like to know where that book came from. I also have a copy.
Yeah.
For me, yes, I also received the mystery book. Was looking for a return address. There was not one, but yes, thank you. With that, I did attend the RTC meeting. Nothing exciting happened except us reappointing the chair and vice chair to that position. Other than that, I've been receiving emails regarding Stability Solutions, both from the public and in our conversations with Marty and Carlene about the town hall that is set for next week. at the Arc. So thank you for letting us use your space, which will be March 5th at 5:30. Perfect. So I will plan on being there, and yeah, so hopefully we'll get some good town input, and also hopefully put some minds to rest as Stability Solutions comes in and is able to give their presentation and hopefully allow those to understand exactly what they're doing or trying to do there. I believe Chief Monk has been through the house and has found it to be very well redone in that aspect from a conversation him and I had. So I'm looking forward to that and hope to see a good turnout. And that's all I have.
I have a question on that subject because we got an email from our wonderful clerk about whether if we wanted to attend that meeting, she'd have to publish it. If you attend the meeting and sit in the back, don't say anything, do you still have to publish it?
No. Town hall.
Town hall meeting?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they're so. I mean, it has to. It's kind of a complicated process that I can. It's
If you're telling me I don't have to
Do-
go, that's okay. I kind of want to know what's happening, but at the same time, I don't want to create.
It's not a big deal to just do an agenda, though.
No.
I mean, that's easy to do, and then
It's just posted
it's
as
just
a
posted. Yeah, I mean, we can do
covered.
that.
It's just easier if you just have these.
Yeah.
Just that way, there's no.
no room for complaint.
Please post the agenda.
Talk to each other about it. Yep.
Yeah.
There's so many rules to follow.
I think we should just do an agenda.
But if we have it posted as an agenda, then if all of a sudden three of us are gathered up front and we're discussing Stability Solutions, we're okay.
That way would be better.
And we can use that wonderful word of transparency. Okay, let's do that. With that, anything else?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, yeah, thanks, Evan. No, I forgot one thing when I got started on my rant over Surat 162. I'm sorry. Yeah, hey, Lori, mallard ducks, snow geese, and honkers. Those are great for signs. I just wanted to put that out there.
I think they will be. There's been a duck for 3 years. We need a goose.
Yeah, mallards are a city bird, and of course then we got snow
That's right,
geese and we got
burdock-
the Willow's
burdock.
honkers. So there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yep.
Oh, pheasants too. Thanks.
One thing I wanted to add was during our RTC Glenn County Transit Committee meetings, they discussed the wall that heals and using paratransit to hopefully have a shuttle from the parking lot, from a separate parking lot to the wall, constantly going during certain hours of operation. So those with mobility issues or can't, do the longer walk and still be able to get over there and see that as well. So I thought that was really cool that they were able to vote on that. So I'll look into that at least for an option for us. So, and that is coming. Gary, you remember when that's coming? I'm dropping off the top of my head. Is it
Yeah, Evan,
30th.
end of March, correct?
Yes.
yeah, it's in my calendar, but yeah, Rick's probably right. I'd have to look at it, Evan.
Yeah, I believe it's towards the end of March, and it will be at the Orland football field. I think they moved it.
School.
Yeah, they moved it over to I believe the football/track area because it was going to allow better access for individuals and parking with a bigger parking lot there. So excited for that to come to our county, and hopefully we can see some new faces in town. Hopefully hitting up our shops during that time as well. But that's all I have. With that, we will go to item 8C, the city manager's report.
Just very quickly, in response to what Councilmember Hanson mentioned, we do have a Caltrans coordination meeting next week to talk to them about several things, but in particular about that 2028 date for our repairs to Highway 162 and see if we can't figure out a way to get that moved up or where we could apply pressure to get that moved up. So that's next week. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that the long-awaited Sycamore Park construction, bid construction arrived today. It closed at 2:00. The bids were open. The low bid was 5.3 million. The budget is 4.7 million. So staff will be looking at how we can bridge that gap and what we can do. And I mean, like I said, it just happened at 2:00 today. So I don't have an answer for you yet, but when we do, we will be back in touch with the council with some sort of recommendation.
And that's
That's
the
it.
entire park, including the pool?
I'm sorry?
That's the entire park, including the pool?
Yes, the pool is included in the
Okay.
project. Yeah.
And that's already subtracting a couple of things like I believe the pathway lights, or that includes all of it? Okay.
We wanted a separate bid for the lights, but the bid actually included it all. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, the point is it's over by, $600,000. So we have to figure something out, and we haven't done that yet because it's been a few hours. So
Can I ask a quick question? Just now, the money that we have, we discussed it last council meeting, and I can't remember the specific name, but it was used for Rumiano cheese. Can that be used towards that?
CDBG programming income money, that is exactly the money that we're looking at. And when we take a look at that, we'll be back to talk to you.
Okay.
See if
Sorry,
you're interested in that.
didn't mean to make it an item. I was just curious because I'm excited for it. So I'm excited to see that process get started. So thank you.
Yeah, we assumed that the council probably wouldn't want to do any more value engineering or cutting to the project when we're this close to construction. The programming income money is quite a bit more than we would need for this project. We're going to take a look at it, but we got to make sure we fit the guidelines and what would be the timeline, and could we be reimbursed fast enough, and all of those kinds of things so that we don't lose the bid. So there's just a lot of moving parts to look at.
Yeah, of course. Awesome. Well, thank you for that information. With that, we will convene into closed session. Item 9A, pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.3, the public will have an opportunity to directly address the legislative body on the item below prior to the council convening into closed session. Public comments are generally restricted to 3 minutes. Item 9A, conference with legal counsel, initiation of litigation, Section Code 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 4, one case. Is there any public comment? Seeing as there's none, we will go into closed session at 8:18. Go ahead. Good.
We don't.
Okay. Ready?
Okay. All right, we'll be coming back into open session at 8:33. With that, Councilmember Hanson did leave the Zoom meeting at 8:33, and we will adjourn the meeting at 8:33.
We need to do.
Oh, report out. I'm sorry. Report out. I will give this to the city attorney to do a report out on. Thank you.
Closed session, the council did meet on conference with legal counsel, initiation of litigation. One case. Direction was given to initiate the litigation, the action, defendants, and any other pertinent information that is requested by other persons will be disclosed once action. Unless that disclosure would jeopardize either the service of process or any settlement.
Thank you. With that, we will adjourn the meeting at 8:34.